Hey guys, tonight we're trading in the prehistoric jungle for a hot, sandy construction site with a zero-tolerance policy for sick days. We're diving into the real ancient Egypt. Forget the mystical curses, hidden treasures, and Hollywood epics showing Charlton Heston looking vaguely heroic. We're talking about the gritty, backbreaking, and scientifically fascinating reality of building a pyramid.
This doesn't look good.
This is a world of crushing limestone blocks, a questionable diet of bread and onions, and a new apex predator you have to worry about, your foreman. You think your 9 to 5 is tough. You think that meeting a deadline is stressful? Trust me, you wouldn't last a single day on the Pharaoh's crew. And we're going to prove it. You enjoy watching our heroes suffer for the sake of historical accuracy? A quick like or subscribe would be amazing. It really helps the channel out. As always, drop your location and time in the comments below. I love seeing where our global survival class is tuning in from. Now, grab a banana for purely ironic hydration. You'll see why later. And let's find out how quickly you'd get flattened. The first 5 minutes. Congratulations, you're hired. You've just finished falling through a swirling banana yellow time portal, which spits you out onto a pile of searingly hot sand. The good news? You've landed in one of the most fascinating and iconic civilizations in human history. The bad news? You've been conscripted. There's no application. No interview process, no 2-week notice. A massive, intimidating foreman with muscles like granite and a seriously unimpressed look on his face just points at a 2-ton block of limestone, then points at you, then points at a long, thick rope. Congratulations, this is your new job. There is no dental plan. The first thing that hits you isn't the awe of history, it's the heat. It's a dry, suffocating, oven-like heat that feels like it's actively trying to cook the moisture out of your body. Fun fact number 1, summer temperatures on the Giza Plateau can easily reach 110 degrees Fahrenheit, 43 degrees Celsius, and that's in the shade. You are not in the shade. There is no shade. There is only the sun, a relentless white-hot disk in a brilliant, unforgiving blue sky, and it is not your friend. The second thing that hits you is the dust. It's everywhere. The air is a thick, choking cloud of fine sand and limestone dust from the nearby quarry. Every breath you take feels like you're inhaling sandpaper. Your lungs, accustomed to filtered, modern air, immediately begin to protest. The third thing that hits you is the noise. It's a deafening, non-stop symphony of industry. You hear the rhythmic, guttural chanting of hundreds of men pulling on ropes in unison. A sound that is part work song, part collective groan. You hear the sharp, high-pitched clink, clink, clink of copper chisels on stone, and the constant, grating, scraping sound of massive wooden sledges being dragged over sand. Your first 5 minutes of you, desperately trying to figure out how to contribute to moving a rock the size of your car without any modern equipment, before your new boss notices you useless. Hour 1. The safety manual hasn't been invented yet. In your first hour, you will be killed not by a mummy's curse, but by a catastrophic workplace accident. This construction site makes a modern oil rig look like a petting zoo. Threat number 1, dehydration. You are sweating out your body's moisture at an alarming rate, far faster than you can replace it. You are given a daily ration of water, but it's lukewarm and tastes of the clay jug it's stored in. It's not nearly enough to combat the oppressive heat and intense physical labor. Heat stroke is the most common cause of death on site, a silent killer that can leave you dizzy and confused 1 minute and dead the next. Threat number 2, the blocks. The limestone blocks weigh an average of 2.5 tons, the same as a modern SUV. The giant granite blocks used for the King's Chamber weighed up to 80 tons. They are moved on massive wooden sledges over specially prepared tracks of wet sand to reduce friction. This method is ingenious but incredibly dangerous.
Keep it
If the work
moving,
is
man.
pouring with water, don't get the sand exactly right. Not too wet, not too dry. The sledge can get stuck, or worse, slip. If a rope snaps under the immense strain, the recoil can whip through the line of workers, breaking legs and skulls. There are no steel-toed boots. You are barefoot or wearing simple reed sandals that offer zero protection. If one of those blocks slips off a sledge, it doesn't just break your toe, it turns your entire lower body into a pancake. Threat number 3, the tools. Your tools are primitive but effective. soft copper chisels that need to be constantly resharpened, and massive wooden mallets. The Egyptians didn't have iron or steel for tools yet. There are no safety goggles. A single misplaced swing of a mallet by the guy next to you can send a shard of razor-sharp limestone flying directly into your eye. Blindness was a common workplace injury, a permanent reminder of one moment of bad luck. So in your first hour, you are thirsty, surrounded by crushing death stones, at risk of being blinded by your own work, and you're starting to get a nasty cough from all the dust. Let's talk about your diet. You're not eating like a pharaoh. Your daily rations, paid to you as wages, consist of three main things: bread, onions or garlic, and beer. The bread is coarse, dense, and made from inner wheat. More importantly, it's full of sand and grit from the limestone grinding stones used to make the flour. Fun fact number 2. Egyptologists can tell the social status of a mummy just by looking at its teeth. Pharaohs had access to more finely sifted flour and had relatively healthy teeth. Poor people, like you, have terrible, worn-down teeth from a lifetime of chewing on what was essentially edible sandpaper. This condition, called dental attrition, would grind your teeth down to the nerves over years of work. The beer is not the light, refreshing beverage you're used to. It's thick, nutritious, and slightly sweet, more like a thin, sour porridge. It's your main source of calories, and because the water used to make it was boiled, it was safer to drink than water from the Nile. The downside? You will be mildly drunk for your entire 10-day work shift. This might explain the high number of accidents. What about your home? You live in a purpose-built workers' village right next to the pyramid, a sprawling, planned city of mud brick barracks. You sleep shoulder to shoulder on reed mats with hundreds of other exhausted, sweaty men. Privacy is not a thing, and in these cramped quarters, diseases like dysentery and tuberculosis can spread like wildfire. Myth-busting time. The idea that the pyramids were built by slaves is a myth popularized by Hollywood. Archaeological evidence from the workers' village, including their tombs, shows that the pyramid builders were conscripted Egyptian citizens. This was a form of national service, or taxation paid for labor, likely done during the months when the Nile's annual flood made farming impossible. They were organized into crews with competitive names like the Drunkards of Menkaure. They were respected for their work, relatively well-fed, and given the high honor of being buried in the shadow of the pyramids they helped build. That doesn't mean the job wasn't brutal and often fatal. It just means you were a respected, well-fed government employee who was very, very likely to be crushed by a giant rockfin. The real danger, the mundane killers. You're far more likely to die from something small and boring than a dramatic, catastrophic accident. A simple cut from a chisel, mixed with the ever-present limestone dust and the general grime of the work site, could easily get infected. Medical care existed, and for some things, it was surprisingly advanced. Doctors could competently set a broken bone in a splint, but their understanding of infection was based on magic. A serious infected wound would be treated with a poultice of honey, which is a natural antiseptic, so that's good, and a series of magical incantations to drive out the evil spirits that were believed to cause the sickness. The ancient Egyptians were brilliant engineers, but their understanding of germ theory was, let's say, a work in progress. Another ever-present danger? The wildlife. The Giza Plateau wasn't just sand. It was on the edge of the wild, and it was home to scorpions, venomous snakes like the Egyptian cobra, and packs of jackals that scavenged around the workers' village edges. A bite from a cobra could kill you in under an hour. There was no anti-venom. Your only hope was a magical charm from the local priest, and a very, very fast decline. So how long do you last? Let's be brutally honest, your chances are terrible. Scenario 1, you're lazy. You try to slack off while pulling one of the giant ropes with your crew. The foreman, a man whose only job is to meet the daily quota set by the vizier, sees you. He doesn't fire you. He walks up and beats you with a thick reed stick as motivation, right there in front of your coworkers. You last about 15 minutes before deciding this job isn't for you and making a run for it into the desert, where you quickly and miserably die of thirst. Scenario 2. You're clumsy. You're helping pull a 2-ton block of limestone up the massive earthen ramp built against the side of the pyramid. You trip on your own reed sandal. The rope slips from your hands, causing a chain reaction of slips down the line. The block, now free, slides back with terrifying speed, and you become a permanent and very flat part of the pyramid's foundation. You last about 3 hours. Scenario 3. You're a hard worker. You do everything right. You watch your step, you pull your weight, you eat your gritty bread and drink your beer. You are a model pyramid builder. You might last a few years. Your end comes quietly when your teeth have been ground down to the nerves by years of sandy bread. This leads to a massive, excruciating tooth abscess. With no dentist or antibiotics, the infection spreads to your jaw and then to your brain. You die in a feverish delirium in your crowded, noisy barracks. Just another casualty of the project.
Spots again. Where
The
did my
simple,
banana leaf
boring
go?
truth is that you do
need
not
more
survive. You are a product of a world with safety regulations, modern dentistry, and the concept of a weekend. You are a banana in a world that thinks of fruit as a luxury reserved for the gods. You exist because for thousands of years, your ancestors survived conditions that would break the toughest modern construction worker. They didn't have cranes. They had ropes, sledges, and an incredible, intuitive understanding of leverage and geometry. They didn't have protein shakes. They had beer and onions, and they built one of the wonders of the ancient world with it. They weren't slaves being whipped into submission. They were skilled laborers, engineers, and artisans who took immense pride in building an eternal monument for their king and their gods. Their actual graffiti can still be found in hidden chambers of the pyramids, with team names like the Drunkards of Menkaure. They were people, just like us, but forged in a much, much harder world. And then
come
so,
on.
the
Why
next
does this
time you
always
complain
happen to
about
me?
your office job, just remember Kai, your hypothetical avatar. Remember the crushing heat, the choking dust, and the very real possibility of being flattened by your work. Literally, they didn't just build a tomb for a king. They built one of the most enduring symbols of human ingenuity. Their work has survived for 400-500 years. You, on the other hand, barely lasted a week. So give them some respect. And be glad you have a desk job. Thanks for watching Banana Edu. Remember to hit subscribe. It's way easier than hauling limestone.